We got Eryk Anders back here on the program. He's going to be taking on Tim Williams at UFC Fight Night 135 on August 25th. Eryk, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Man, nothing much, man. Just got finished running. Now I'm over here at the old ballpark watching my son's football practice.
Yeah, what's that like as a father? You know, you had very good success in your football career at the collegiate level, getting to, give that knowledge to your son.
Man, it's cool. I to be honest, man, I prefer he not play football, but at the same time, if he wants to play, he can play. So, man, it's cool, man. It's fun to watch him run around out here.
Does he do MMA as well?
He does. Yeah, he does jiu-jitsu and some striking classes.
Okay, that's cool. Bringing some knowledge down, which is always great. You and I talked a couple months ago. I know you tried to get on that UFC Liverpool card. I know you had, some bumps and bruises as well that you had to take care of. But did you really think it would be this difficult getting a fight, especially after fighting a guy like Lyoto Machida?
Not really, but at the same time, if you look at it, all the middleweights, were getting ready for fights or had just had fights. So I think it was more of a timing issue. I did have elbow surgery, the week after the fight. So maybe that had something to do with it. But I think, the recovery time went that long on that. So I think it was just a timing issue.
Gotcha. And you're taking on Tim Williams here, who lost his UFC debut, but he's got a 15-4 record. How do you feel like you match up against him here?
I think I match up really well against Tim Williams. He seems to like to get in people's faces, and he throws straight punches. I don't think his wrestling is all that great. So, I think he'll definitely look to close the gap, put my back on the cage, and, get it to the mat where he can be on top.
Right, yeah, and you obviously want to keep it standing. We know that knockout power. We saw that in your UFC debut. I know for a training camp, you've got to travel a little bit. I know you went to Team Oyama. Who are some of the guys you got to train with over there?
Marlon Vera, Chito Vera, Alex Perez. Both guys had big wins. Andrew Walker, I believe his name, over a Classic Fight Team, and all those guys, they got, doing their thing over there. So, it was good, to go out there, get a new flavor, train with some different people at different speed. And I also been to the PI, training at the Syndicate and the Extreme Couture. So, I got invaluable experience doing that.
So I'm sure at Syndicate, training with like a Julian Marquez, guy like that. And then at Extreme, I guess they have, Brad Tavares, Uriah Hall. Did you get to work with any of those guys?
No, I didn't, man. Those guys, they had fights coming up at the time.
That's right. Okay.
And, so they were kind of doing their own thing. Or not really their own thing. They were, doing their game plan stuff. I did spar with, I guess, Ngannou's the...
Oh, no way. You got to spar with him. That's great.
Yeah. He's, I spend most of the time with my hands over my head, He was actually, he wasn't malicious or anything. He just, it's a big dude, and he's got a lot of weight behind those punches. So he was being cool. He understood that, there was a weight class difference, and, got some good work with him.
Were you surprised that Dana White said he has a bit of an ego problem? Because the way you're describing him right now, it kind of sounds like the opposite.
Man, I don't really know him too well outside of, sparring and seeing him around the PI and whatnot. So I really don't know his character, what kind of person he is, without the gloves on. So, all I know is that he wasn't trying to kill me with the gloves on. So he cool with me.
Fair enough. And I know back home you're training a bit with Cam Audi, who you mentioned. You were telling me that he's got a fight coming up for M1. Pretty cool opportunity for him.
Yeah, he's fighting this weekend up in Nashville from M1. And, I think it's a good deal because, they just signed that deal with the UFC. Whatever belt holders they have, they get the option to go to the UFC. So I think that'd be a good look for him. See if he can't finally get there.
Excellent. And, I know you've been off for a while, so I imagine the weight cut, that's probably on point. But I know it's also tough because when you're off for a bit, you tend to gain a little bit more weight.
Yeah, I lifted probably more weights during this layoff than I have since, I probably played college ball. So I got real swole, got real big, and but weight cut's going good, going normal. So, just starting at a little bit heavier weight.
Are we going to see another knockout here on August 25th? That seems that's usually how most of your fights seem to end.
I think so. I think all Tim's losses are by knockout, and I'm definitely looking out there to go to win, make him 15-5, be 11-1, and see if I can't get my invitation to that Madison Square Garden card.
You're at a football field. You're watching your son play football. You have won a NCAA, championship as a football player. Greg Hardy, he's been in the news. He's going to be fighting tomorrow night on Contender Series. What are your thoughts on him as a heavyweight, and how far realistically do you think he can go?
Matt, he's training, ATT, so I'm sure he's getting some good work with the coaches and the guys down there. So, man, I think what makes him unique is how athletic and explosive he is, and there's just not a whole lot of that at heavyweight. So I think he can come in and slowly but surely make his way to the top.
For sure. And do you think he's close to a UFC contract? I mean, we'll find out tomorrow night, but in general, do you feel like he's got the skills to hang with some of the heavyweights there?
Yeah, sure. I'd like to see what he's got on the ground. All his fights ends in knockouts and whatever. But eventually he may find himself on his back, and that's why me personally as a MMA fan and spectator from that side, I just want to see what he's got off his back or, on the ground.
Is there any tips you'd give him as someone who, went from the football world to mixed martial arts?
You're going to have the athletic advantage. It's just the way it is, man. He's trained his whole life to be, quick and explosive and fast and strong and, have the footwork and at the heavyweight division, it's a little bit easier for him just because, big guys usually can't move like that. So I would spend a lot of time drilling technique and practicing a lot where you're not good at. For example, for me, it was off my back. I was like a turtle when I first started. Now I'm cool off my back. I don't care who takes me down. I'm quite confident that I can either get up or sweep or submit from the bottom.
Last football question, last question in this interview. Alabama, they're going to be back this year. Obviously, just thoughts on their upcoming season here as an alumni.
Man, as long as they got Nick Saban at the helm, I think they're going to be okay, man. He's got what some people call quarterback controversy, but you got a guy who is the SEC Offensive Player of the Year as a true freshman and has only lost 2 games as a starter and played, has invaluable experience playing in national championship games. And then the other guy, comes in the national championship game in the second half and is down 13 points and comes back and wins the whole thing. So, I don't think you go wrong with either guy, or maybe they split time or whatever. But, he seems to have some good problems down there in Tuscaloosa.
And you mentioned you were telling me you're going to the LSU Alabama game later this year, you were saying.
Yeah, LSU is my squad growing up, and year in, year out, it's usually Bama or LSU in that Western Division of the SEC. So that's the showdown that interests me the most.
We're looking forward to your showdown coming up here August 25th. It's UFC Fight Night 135. Eryk, always good talking to you, man. I appreciate you taking the time. Just remind people where they can find you on social media, and if you got any thank yous or shout outs, the floor is yours.
It's always a pleasure, James. You guys can find me Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at Eryk Anders, ERYK ANDERS. I want to spend a shout out to Vitamin Energy and Infinite CBD and all of the people and folks and training partners I got down there at Sparring Fitness, SBG, Alabama.